Well, I want to give you some of the reasons why you should really prep and why it's essential. And what I'm actually going to start out with is probably going to seem like an argument against what I'm saying because you remember the Y2K scare? The end is near. And of course, there was a lot of exaggerations about Y2K, like the traffic lights not working. Like, in other words, the traffic lights don't have computer chips in them, and a lot of stuff that they were claiming was going to fail, like elevators or something, would not fail. But the fact is, the matter was that the banking system, the grid system, a lot of the inventory control system, just in time inventory control system, a lot of that stuff would have failed if they were not proactive. And proactive is another word for prepping, right? It's, in other words, the problem was with Y2K was there was a lot of fear mongering, but if people did nothing, the fear mongering would have been correct. It's almost as if you can even warn a person about health. So don't drink every day because it'll destroy your liver. You'll get cirrhosis of the liver. Or don't eat these bad processed foods because maybe they'll lead to cancer or whatever. And you don't do it. It's like, well, you really can't take one reality, put it in a isolate it, and put another reality and isolate it. Yeah, you could do that with scientific experiments, but when you're talking about a whole society in a Y2K or something or prepping, you really can't say, what if this happened, and what if that happened, and what if we didn't do this? You can't say that. But obviously, Y2K would have been a major problem. Now, the other side of it is, look at the fear mongering, too. It's, in other words, if you prep and you take thorough precautions in a calm, rational manner without panicking and getting into the drama, and, and you don't dwell upon it every day, things go pretty damn smooth. I mean, Y2K did have a couple hiccups when it occurred, but it wasn't like this. The day the earth will stand still. It wasn't like that. But, the reason it was like that, and the reason it became smooth, is because people prepared. And one of the things you really should prepare for the most, I think, people need to have some kind of supply of food on hand. That's another thing. When you're really thinking about prepping, probably the most important thing that immediately comes to mind is food and water. Water purification or even a rain collection system. That's another reason for these silver dollars, probably, because that could be an antibacterial for a rain collection system. Not perfect, but better than nothing. Or you can have those survival straws and things. But if you don't have these things, and say you have a rain collection system and you drink the water and you get sick from the water, well, that's not good. You have a little bit of calcium hypochlorite, pool shock, or those survival straws that filter out all the bacteria and cysts and viruses from the water, you be okay. So, but that's the problem. People just don't do it. People are really way more. And the thing is, you got extremes. You have people that are on one side of the fence where they do absolutely nothing, and they get the other kind that are the drama freaks. It's a matter. Here's really what it is: the three P's: plan, prepare, perform. Do it. Don't freaking panic. P number five, panic. You don't want in there. That's what it is. And actually, the biggest sales pitch, and there's no advertisement on it. I don't know what the hell, if YouTube's going to advertise this video or not. Maybe they won't. They've been getting really crazy with their advertiser-friendly stuff. But if you have, panic is not one of the P's. Okay, that's one of the things. Maybe you're going to panic a little bit when something happens, of course, but don't be in a panic mode every day because you don't think. You got to think in a rational manner. You want to plan, prepare, and perform. You want to actually do it. You got to actually do it. You don't want to say, "Oh, I think I'm going to do this when this happens." There's a lot of people like that too. Now, fortunately, when we had Y2K, it didn't come down to a situation where everything shut down, the grid shut down, the heating oil shut down, and we're all out there in the woods. But there's a lot of things that actually could happen, and that are not within our control. Um, hmm, you know, okay, we just had the Hurricane Irma they had the hurricane. Now I was very prepared for the hurricane Irma. I had my generators running. I had plenty of water, plenty of clean water. I had I have like a transfer box in my well with it's already plugged in where you have the cord plugged into the transfer box, and you just plug it into a generator. So if I needed to refill my barrels of water and stuff, I could have done that, no problem. And the barrels, but I didn't even get down to it because the electricity wasn't off that long. But some people actually just had their electricity restored. I think Wednesday, so they were out for 8 days or 9 days. So that's a pretty long time to be without electricity, and that's just from a stupid storm. That's not even from something really bad. I don't know what could be really bad, but use your imagination. I will not suggest it. But if you're out without electricity, actually probably one of your better bets if you need electricity instead of this fossil fuel stuff or for whatever you want to call it. If that's the correct term, probably solar panels might be one of your better bets because solar panels at least would last pretty much forever, and you keep recharging those batteries and make do. And the deal is, though, people do not have anything. That's the problem. And if you're in a crowded city, ooh, you're in a major hurt locker right there because they got just enough time food delivery for those cities, and especially places like New York. I've been telling people you ought to get the hell out of New York City. Oh my God, that's one place that you would have a serious problem with bottlenecks getting in supplies and stuff if there was a problem over that city. But if you're out there in the wide open spaces, maybe you'll have no problem. But then again, you could have problems, like places out there in the desert, in the moonscape. Yeah, of course, you're not going to have to worry about other people over there. But the other problem is, where's the food? Where's the water, right? So, and also want to say this: a lot of people they put too much faith in the weapon stuff. I'm going to say this: that's important, but the problem is there's going to have to be a lot more cooperation between people to make things work. And it's going to be a matter of who do you trust? And that could be a problem. Because sometimes the people you trust now may not be the people you can trust in a situation where things are bad. Sometimes the people closest to you could betray you. That's a situation you're really going to have to be very savvy about. But a lot of people put too much faith in the weapon stuff. Now, I think the weapon stuff is vital, but it's not the be-all, end-all of everything. And the other thing is the weapon stuff can be a lot more than just bullets and guns. Oh, they could be knives and crossbows and spears and nets and you name it, all kinds of stuff. Even frequency devices and microwave zappers, for crying out loud. You can microwave your prey from a distance, or like in other words, if you're like, actually, I put out on a video one time before. Like a lot of times, people think about hunting for game, and I put out on a video like a small trap where you can hunt an animal and trap an animal in one of those cages, which I have one of those cages. That's one of your best bets going because, it's like you don't need to be out there waiting for the animal to come to you. You can put some bait in a cage, and the animal goes in there, and then you cut your animal, and you get your meal, right? Whatever, people say that's horrible if you're a vegan. I know if you're a vegan, you're not going to like that, but it's a lot easier than trying to stand out there all day waiting for an animal to go by. If you got some cage someplace and the animal goes in there, and because you put some food in there, put a little bait, just like fishing, right? You got it, right? That's one of your simple bets. But people don't even do that. Now, what people are going to be doing, like for the most part, the people that watch TV all the time and probably watch this YouTube video, I don't know if well, it depends. It's going to be a mixed audience. They're going to be depending upon the government. The government, I'm going to tell you, the government is never going to have the resources to protect everybody. First off, if you have like $10 and you put in $10 into the government, you get about $1 worth of benefit out of it. That's about how it works. If you put $10 into your own prepping, you get $10 of prepping out of it. That's how it works that way. And the other thing is, These people in the government, what you're doing is you're paying for all their high salaries, their their retirement, their bennies, their benefits, and of course, the leaders of the government, they're going to be fully protected against any kind of atrocity going, because they got first dibs on all the shelters, right? So, the main ones they're going to protect is themselves, then their public image, then their jobs, and that deal is they can't protect everybody. It's a bunch of crap. So you got to be proactive. Now the other thing is a lot of people think about bugging out. Boy, I'm going to tell you, this is one thing that always gets me. You ever see these they sell on these survival sites? They got your bug out bag. Maybe that's a situation that could possibly be, but for the most part, you don't want to be in the place that you got to bug out from. Like, that's why you don't want to be located in a major city. And I'm even thinking about getting out of the sandbar of Florida here, because Florida's getting too crowded, man. I was like, put out a video a while ago. Florida's a pretty good prepping state. In a way, it is, but it's getting to be so crowded over the last so many years, and even more crowded, that maybe it is, you know. So no place is perfect. No matter where you go, there's always some pitfall. But for the most part, in a disaster situation, I don't know what it is. I mean, here they're showing an earthquake, the roads all messed up in California. Yeah, actually in California, when they had, I remember they had an earthquake in, what, 93, and the road was all buckled up. You know what actually people got around in really good with? Motorcycles. More so than four-wheel drives. Um, but then again, if you're on a motorcycle, you can only take so much. The other side of it is, too, it's not a good bug out vehicle in a lot of ways. I don't know, maybe it is. It depends. It's better than having no vehicle. But, the deal is, the deal is that you're better off picking a place to live that's a good bug in place, that you want to hunker down and just be low profile, not to bother with nobody. And if things go bad, that's where you want to be. The bug out situation, like head for the hills, you know, I don't know, something happened. I don't know, New York City, a bomb blew up and the place was radioactive and people had to get out of there, or else you're going to take radioactivity, in their bodies or something. They're all running out, right? I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know what happened. Everybody running out. What are they going to run to, right? I mean, where are you going to go? And roads are closed. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? I mean, it only takes a couple bridges down. A lot of people don't even realize when you're on the interstate, when you're flying along on the interstate, about the speed limit's 70, but everybody's doing about 75 at least. You're doing 75, you're in a slow lane, almost getting rear-ended. You don't realize there's all these bridges. Like, people don't even realize there was bridges in South Carolina until they had those floods last year that were like the 1,000-year flood, and some of the I-95 was down, right? Yeah, you got a place like New York. I mean, God, there's a lot of stuff that can happen here. There's not that many ways to get in and out of the city unless you're going by boat. But, even if you go by boat, what do you do? Where do you go? Where do you go? So, one of the things you want to do is you want to be out of these situations beforehand, because the bug out scenario is not the thing you want to depend upon. People have this thing in their mind like, I'm going to go bug out with my backpack, and I'm going to go live in the woods, with my tent, and, everything's going to be fine. Yeah, right. You see this on YouTube a lot. I'm like, I'd rather be in a house than this BS thing here. I'd rather be in a house. Actually, what you probably want to have is extra roofing material. You want to have generator. And, if you really, I don't know, if the grid was going to be down for months on months and months on end, I know what I would do with my generator. Like, I can run I have enough fuel to run for maybe a couple months, running it all the time. But I would probably run it maybe an hour or two a day, just to pump up water supplies, get the batteries charged up, which would extend it out years. You know what I mean? cool down a refrigerator, turn it into a big ice box or something like that, or whatever. You know, um, I would not be running it 24 hours a day. I know if it's a temporary situation, I'd run it 24 hours a day because I know if it don't last even a week, I mean, I could survive a couple months. I got enough diesel for that easy. But, if it's a situation where the grid's going to be down for like forever and a day, you don't want to be doing that stuff. You definitely want to have solar panels. So that's something else I need to be doing. Getting more solar panels. But, you don't want to be in a situation where you got to bug out to a place. That's ridiculous. You want to be in a place that you can just hunker down. Personally, thinking about, because I know when I got down here to Florida 20 something years ago, this was way out in county. I had like 3.5 miles of openness behind me with farms and rolling hills, and it all just filled in with houses. And I was thinking, boy, freaking crap goes down here. I don't want to be around here. Anyway, but that's one thing. And you don't want to depend upon the government. The government, even if they're all on the up and up, actually what the government will do, is, to tell you the truth, is what they do during Hurricane Katrina. Oh, let's get the guns. If people got guns, oh, that's terrible. You know, God. You know, I don't even want to. I don't want to say nothing about these veterans. I got to mention it. I'm glad I was in. God, don't even tell me thank you for your service. I don't even want to hear that shit. Because yeah, I was in the Marine Corps for 13 years. Fine, but I don't really think nothing of that because I realized that in itself was a mixed bag. If you look back in the 1920s and 1930s and 40s, boy, the Marine Corps was far different and running far leaner than it was today, especially during the time of Commandant Lejeune. Um, you're running off of like a couple pennies where you're working off $1,000 bills today. People got it really, really good in military today compared to what they used to have it not that long ago, a couple generations ago. As a matter of fact, when Ronnie Ray guns came in, the military went to all volunteer. Boy, the pay scale went way the hell up. And it's not. It's a mixed bag. I could tell you that you probably can't trust a lot of people in a green uniform. All right, I'm telling you that right now. I already know this. That's the way I look at it. I always looked at it. You got to watch out. I consider myself to be the few of the few. The few of the few, because the few aren't necessarily always trustworthy, even them. Although I think it's better than the aren't really Marines yet, Army and stuff, and the Navy. But, that's the way I look at it, man. And, people are, they put too much faith in, they'll fix it. No, they won't. They're out for, like you should be worried about plan, not worried, but don't panic worry. Deduce and use your logical side of your brain. Plan, prepare, perform, and do action. Don't panic. Don't panic. Don't be a fearmonger. But if you wait till the last minute, this is what you're going to see, like this. Then you're going to be a fearmonger. But there's a happy medium between all this stuff. And Y2K is a classic example of, it's like we can't run a reality and say, let's take the whole United States in a test tube. You can't do this, right? And say, let's not do anything about fixing the Y2K problem and see what happens. If you could do that scientific experiment, you can't do that. I'm sure it would have been the day the Earth stood still. It would have been like that. But people did the stuff. A lot of smart people that were, computer programmers, they fixed everything. Before it was a problem. They knew it was a problem. They saw it coming up and they fixed it. So prepping is important. Y2K almost like disproves it but proves it if you think about it. The reason it wasn't an issue was because people did plan, prepare, and perform. That's what it was. But you had those other people in there who were total freaking panickers and they were scaring the crap out of people. AJ, you know what I mean? Oh, God. He was out there on YouTube or something, talking about the Russians having nuclear missiles flying over to the United States during this on midnight, December 31st, 1999. Yeah, talk about freaking BS, man. I don't even I don't even know what he was doing that for. But it's like I don't even understand why some people go off that far, even if they're fear mongers, because he lost a lot of credibility when he did that. Of course, then we had Bohemian Grove came up, and he just waltzed right in there, and he got that footage. His credibility came back, right? Got my drift? Anyway. So, anyway, but just want to put it out here because I do this stuff, and I'm going to have some more MacGyver tips on here. I'm probably going to have some MacGyver tips on. Oh, we're going to see one here coming up pretty soon on cleaning small carburetors with an electronic cleaner and an awesome cleaner. Awesome cleaner. That LA Water awesome cleaner stuff. You're going to see how that works out because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of stupid things you can do where you can make do with less money to fix things. Unlike the government, where they take thousands of dollars and they buy, a roll of toilet paper, right? These guys I'm so sick of it. They know how to play it though, man. They know how to play it. I hate government assholes. That's what the hell they are, man. They really are. Pretty much all of them. Anybody in the government is a piece of crap. Department of, you know what? It's almost now, you think of this thing, U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Remember when this first came out? People were saying it was almost like a national police force, like the Gestapo or something. In a way, it is. I mean, in principle, it is, right? And people think, oh, no, no. Now they're used to it, right? And what happens when the Republicans get in, right? The Republicans get in, they criticize the Democrats because this happened, or Democrats criticize the Republicans, does that happen? What do? Neither one of them go back and reverse nothing. I see one of the classic examples, like in New Jersey. They passed, in 1966, they finally passed a state sales tax on top of all their freaking other stupid taxes they got over there. That was in 1966. Oh, they finally vote out the Democrat that did that, right? The Republican comes in. Does he repeal it? No, because it's part of the gravy train. So then he does some stuff. They get sick of him. They throw in a Democrat. Then in 1976, they put on a state income tax. Did they throw that out? No, no, no. Then the Republicans come in. Did they freaking repeal the state income tax and the state sales tax? No. No. Actually, that's the problem. They don't have so many taxes. The government would have to do it a lot less. That's what actually made the Marine Corps great when they're running lean and mean. And he had the right leadership, like Lejeune and Puller, who were descendants of Confederate officers, by the way. That's why I get on with that stuff, man. Anyway, just remember that in the case, in all this drama, I mean, a lot of this stuff is pretty good to get, but spend your dollars wisely. And one of the best things you could do is food preps, and you don't need to have MREs because they're very expensive. You can get oatmeal, white rice, vitamin pills, stuffed peanut butter, jelly, stuff like that. Taco bread. Taco bread lasts a long time, man. And versus real bread, versus fake bread, whatever you want, American bread. And I was one thing I was noticing, like you can keep loads of that stuff around. It takes up very little room. Cans of tuna fish, canned goods, spam, all that garbage like that. And you don't need to buy the expensive stuff. You don't really need to, but you got to have some food, that's for sure. But do prep, and don't panic, But don't depend upon going to another location. Now, if you do live in the city, you're going to have a spot outside the city you can go to, already set up. Because whatever you take on your back is not going to be enough for you. And provided you can get to that spot. So, that's one of the things. But reality situation is the way people think today. They're so. It's like you don't want to be dwelling upon this garbage all the time. But then again, You don't want to be like an ostrich with your head in the sand. Because if you're like an ostrich and your head in the sand, like I said, you can't run that. You can't run the experiment. Let's do Y2K in the United States and do no preparing. I'll guarantee you, it would have been like the Earth ended if they did nothing. And people say no, 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 which is still the big scare. No, it was a reality. It was a reality, but people were proactive, and that's why I'm putting that out here now because Y2K is almost like the thing people are mocking today, but in a lot of ways, it was the proof that preps make things go smooth. So that's really my message. And it's not panicking makes things go smooth. It's planning and preparing and performing that makes things go smooth. Okay? Over now.